Here we go, video number 2. This is where we factor the quadratic trinomial ax squared plus bx plus c, where a equals 1. In other words, where there's a 1 out here in the front. There is no 2, no 5. There's actually no number, right? Kind of like right here. You have x squared plus 5x plus 6. There's a 1 out there in front. It's just invisible. Anyway, we will be able to factor these, and it's as simple as this. You think, what times what is C that if you combine together will give you B? In other words, what times what is this last number C that if you combine together, if you add together, gives you B? All right? So let's take a look at number 1 right here, this example it's done for us. What times what is 6 that if you add together gives you 5? Now, if you don't find out those pair of numbers right away in your head, you could go ahead and make a list. What times what is 6? Well, 6 is 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. That's the only way to get 6. Now, if we look at the middle term, it's 5, right? So if I add 1 plus 6, do I get 5? No, I get 7. If I add 2 plus 3, do I get 5? Yes, I do. So this is the right pair of numbers. All you do is put the 2 right there, the 3 right there, and you're done. You factored it. Now, of course, if you were to distribute this, you would get back to this quadratic trinomial. Anyway, number 2, we have the same concept. It's just looking a little different. You're always thinking, what times what is the last number that if you add together is a middle number, right? We're usually having 3 terms, and you always think, what times what is the last number that if you combine together gives you the middle value? So right here, you have 2 terms. So you're thinking, what times what is the last number that if you add together is the middle number? And of course you're thinking middle. There is no middle. Of course, then the middle number is 0. So you're really thinking, what times what is negative 81 that if you add together is nothing, right? And of course that would be a positive 9 and a negative 9. Okay, so we have some examples down here we want to work through. So number 1, we're thinking, what times what is negative 12 that if you add together is positive 1? So I'm already going to set up the parentheses for our answer. That's in factored form. And I might need to think of the list of numbers for negative 12. So let me think, how could I get negative 12? It's going to be 1 times 12. Actually, negative 1 times 12. Or maybe negative 2 times 6. Or maybe negative 3 times 4. So when I think about these different pairs of numbers that multiply to give me negative 12, which one of them will actually add to give me a positive 1? Well, you have a negative 1 and a 12. If I add those, what do I get? I get 11. Now, there's not an 11 right here. There might be. If there were an 11, then I would use these pair of numbers. Negative 2 and 6. If I add those together, what do I get? I get 4. That's not a 4, so that's not working. But if I add these together, negative 3 and 4, that definitely gives me 1 as an answer, and that's what I have as my middle value B. So negative 3 and 4, that's the correct combo that I want. Negative 3 and positive 4. And let's not forget about the x's that belong right here. Okay, because this is an x squared and there's no number in front. That's why x times x will get us that x squared. So there's the answer. That's the factored form of the above quadratic trinomial. Once again, you're always thinking, what times what is a c value that if you add together is a b value? So because there's no number right here, you could already just set up the factored form, and as a matter of fact, put an x right here and an x right there. And of course, what times what is negative 25 that if you combine together gives you the middle value, which there is no middle value. So a positive 5 times a negative 5, that'll give you negative 25. And if you add them together, it cancels out. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. There is no middle value. So that's a correct factored form right there. Let's move on and try this one right here. What times what is positive 32 that if you add together is negative 18? Okay, well, let's make a list. How could I get positive 32? Well, 1 times 32, that'll do it. 2 times 16, that'll do it. 4 times 8 is 32. 5, 6, no, those are all the combos right there. 1 times 32, 2 times 16, and 4 times 8. Anyhow, which pair of numbers will combine together to give us a negative 18? Well, if I add these, it gives me 33. That's not 33. If I add these, it gives me 18. That's not, well, it's 18, but it's a negative 18, so I have the right numbers right here. I just have the wrong signs. So let me actually go through and just change both signs. Make that a negative 2 and a negative 16, and that'll be the right combo right there. Okay, so let me put the negative 2 right here and the negative 16 right here. Now keep in mind, at any point when you factor, you could always go back and actually distribute and see if you did it correctly. Like if I were to go x times x, I get the x squared. X times negative 16, I'll get negative 16x, and then negative 2 times x, I'll get negative 2x, and the negative 16x and the negative 2x will give me the middle term, negative 18x. So you could verify your answer by distributing and seeing if you get the original quadratic trinomial before factoring. Okay, I hope this helps. We're going to do another video on the next section of this page.